We're back to the Total Education Celebrity Show on the Simply G Media Network. Again, go to simplyg.com or also TotalTutor.net, Twitter, Total Tutor, Neil S. Haley, Facebook. And I guess, Jarrett, this is probably the first time ever you've come on the Celebrity Show, and you're not the celebrity, but I thought because of you being an educator, you will have some fantastic follow-up questions for Michael, our guest. So, Jarrett, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, and as always, I'm glad to be a part of any segment of the Total Education Network.
Well, absolutely. So I want to welcome the program celebrity Michael Lohan. Michael, thanks for calling.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Well, absolutely. And I think that ultimately you're out there doing PR now because, Michael, you want to kind of clear the air of what's going on because we see what's going on in the tabloids and I guess the blogosphere and the Twitter sphere that there's certain things going on. So that's definitely why you're out there trying to do interviews to try to kind of clear the air of what's going on, right?
Yeah, well, not only that, but you're an educational network, and it's a large in part in what I do, with the treatment programs and things like that. But there are a lot of rumors out there, and it's just not right that they're out there. But, it's not only on Facebook and Twitter, but it's in the tabloid magazines, and it's just not right.
Absolutely. And so, and we always see these things, and I know not to believe in them. Jarrett knows, but again, we have the low information celebrity fans that see things and say, this is what's going on. So let's go a couple questions, and definitely want to talk about, again, how you're helping people in recovery and all that stuff and educating people in that way. Is it true, are Lindsay and her reality show being monitored closely by the intimidating Oprah? Is that true? Reported by TMZ.
No. Oprah is not intimidating whatsoever. If anything, Oprah is supportive, and she wants Lindsay to do well. Is Oprah going to be very hands-on? Is she going to be, on top of things? Absolutely, especially Lindsay, because she wants Lindsay to succeed. And I think by putting the cameras on Lindsay like she has and giving her this opportunity, it kind of keeps Lindsay on the right path because the cameras are on her all the time. And that's why I have a problem with all these tabloids. They're not there. They don't see what's going on. If Lindsay did something wrong, someone would take a picture. It would be on the reality show. There's no editing going on here. And, it's a shame that people go out there and put these things out there, and there's a stigma that's attached to it.
Absolutely. And Jarrett, and you don't believe in those tabloids at all, Jarrett, right?
Well, to show you how out of touch I am with the tabloids, I had no idea that there was even a reality show that was even in the planning stages, let alone in the actual filming stages. So there you go, Michael. You're not going to find me looking at the tabloids in the supermarket stand because I was clueless as to this project.
Well, I've given up myself. I don't even look at that stuff. The only time I find out about it is when someone calls me and says, Michael, do you know this? Did you hear this? Did you hear that? And based upon what's said, if there's truth to it, of course I'm going to let it slide. But if someone's lying about something, I'm not going to let them just get away with it. It's not right. Everyone needs a voice out there. And it's unfortunate, but after they report these things, they don't go to the celebrity. They go to sources, quote unquote, who aren't credible at all because they won't even put their name on it. So, it's sad. It's a very sad situation.
Exactly, but I guess that's what you have to deal with being in the public eye in certain aspects, even yourself, not just Lindsay, that you're going to deal with this junk. We see it with the Kardashians all the time and all these different things, and I just say, again, they made their money in certain aspects, but again, there's no real privacy, especially for family involved in this. So the other rumor, and I know you're going to say is absolutely wrong as well, is about your ex-wife and you being banned from the show. That's not true either, right?
Of course not. I shot the show 3 times, and Dina shot it three times. When I was up in Lindsay's hotel room before she moved in her apartment, her lease was not negotiated the right way, so I negotiated it for her. And they said, can we film that? So they filmed it. Then Lindsay and I had dinner one day, and they said, can we film that? So they filmed that. And then one other time when Lindsay was moving in her apartment, and I was coordinating the moving, they filmed that as well. So where they get these things from, I don't know. But when the show airs, you're going to see that that's not the case whatsoever.
And that's great. And it's a situation where we hear these things and we have to clear the air. And that's the problem with tabloids, Jarrett. And I know you don't read them. I do, because, again, of the celebrity thing. And I guess I'm bombarded at the grocery aisle. What do? You ignore it, Jarrett? You kind of stare out into space?
You know, the fact that I have a 7-year-old usually with me in the grocery store really keeps me occupied with some other things. But yeah, I simply walk right past it. And again, it comes down to the issue of credibility. And let's go back to the issues that we put on our show to begin with, and that is, honesty and truthfulness. And what I want to ask Michael here is, he's mentioned about how he is proactive, how he's addressing these, if they're wrong, if they're inaccurate, he's going to call it out. What's the benefit? Not everyone's going to handle it the same way you do, Michael. How is your family handling these challenging issues associated with honesty, truthfulness, and what are you doing as the head of the family to really work towards, meaningful dialogue?
Well, I'm the one who has the biggest mouth when it comes to these things, to kind of sit back. But it's more like water off a duck's back at this point. It doesn't bother us as much. But there's certain things that are said, like her drinking and relapse. I'm not just going to let it slide. That's my daughter. And if they did it, when you're wrong, you're wrong. When you're right, you're right. And when you're wrong, you take a back seat and just suck it up because you did it. And like you said, it's about truth. And if the truth is that you messed up, then either you come clean with it or just let it go and let it be reported. But when it's a lie, I'm not going to let it sit. And if it's about my family, I'm going to do whatever I can to support them.
Well, absolutely, and you have to stand up for your family. You have to be, as the father, saying, I'm not going to allow them to trash my daughter and do these certain things. When they're truthful, I'm going to step out and say, hey, she needs to make changes. But Michael, when it comes to the situations where there's not truth, like the next question about, are you concerned about Lindsay's friends drinking in her presence and dragging her back down to this dangerous lifestyle? How would you answer that question?
Yes. It's a very short and simple answer. Yes. I am concerned about the people she was around. I've kind of come between them now, too. That guy, Gavin Doyle, that was around her, is one of the worst people she could ever be around. The guy doesn't have a job. He lives off his family, and especially lives off Lindsay. And every time she was with him, there were problems. So, when she was in court the last time, he sat next to me. He smelled like a liquor store. So I am concerned about that. I think she was concerned about it, too, when she realized that he wasn't getting any better. But then, on the other hand, you have someone like Vikram Chatwell, the owner of the Dream Hotel, who had his own issues. Vikram actually went to treatment, got better, and he's on a better path than he ever was. So I can understand Lindsay being friends with him, but when you have someone like Gavin or some of the other people that have never gone to treatment and they had drug and alcohol issues, that's just not a relationship you want to have, or I want my daughter to have.
Well, absolutely, and that's what you're doing. Again, being the person that's stepping in those situations, so and stopping it before it happens. And Michael, you're looking out for Lindsay's best interest. And see, Jarrett again is learning a lot about, I guess, the truth. And from what you've heard, Jarrett, in different, I guess, news media and stuff, not the tabloids, but you see it on TV and all that time, right, Jarrett?
Well, I actually have heard Michael on the radio several times, and the last time I think I had heard Michael was when he was on a local radio station, rock station up here in Pittsburgh. And again, he came across as very sincere. He answered questions honestly, just like Michael's doing right here, and we appreciate that. And these are tough questions, and probably not the easiest interview, but Michael, I want to ask you, if you had a time machine and you could go back and change anything, what would it be if there is anything? But what would it be to make things a little bit different?
I would definitely. The biggest part would be the divorce. I would do everything I could to have stopped the lawyers from engaging in the divorce with Dina and I, because they really took it to a new level. Because the divorce is what caused all the issues for Lindsay. And it caused Dina to take sides, and the whole parental alienation thing. I didn't have a relationship with my kids for a couple of years because Dina was Lindsay's manager. It was all about Dina making money with Lindsay, and they didn't need me anymore. But she was afraid that because my relationship with my kids was so strong, that I would lead them away from that. Because I really don't believe that a parent should be involved in a child's business. Be a parent, support them in any way you can, but you don't make money off your kids. You're there for your kids. The kids aren't supposed to be there for us. That's just the way it goes. It's a natural order of things. And the divorce is probably the one thing that I wish I would have changed. But you know what? It happened, and life goes on, and we just have to make it better. And by the grace of God, Lindsay, my son Michael, and I, and Allie are the best of friends. Just got off the phone with my son Michael, spoke to Allie this morning. And Cody's the one having a little difficulty because he still lives with Dina. But I encourage any parents that go through a divorce, do not put your kids in the middle. You should not exercise any kind of parental alienation because you're not hurting each other, you're hurting your kids.
That's great to hear, Michael. And I guess current projects that you were talking about before when you just called in, that you were busy helping somebody else, being this recovery expert and helping others and things. You have some upcoming projects that you want to promote, don't you?
Well, yeah, it's just, I think it's awareness for people, too. I mean, if anyone can pay it forward or be there for someone who has a drug or alcohol problem, they should encourage them to get into treatment. I just did an intervention for a detox over the phone to get someone into detox, and then another one for treatment. But, there's so much. I worked on Wall Street for most of my life on the floor of the exchange and made hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. I make 1/4 of that now, and I'm so much more happy than I was then because you're really helping people. And the Bible says where the treasure is, there also you will find the heart. And there's so much truth to that.
I'm amazed. Again, we're learning about Michael, Jarrett, that we never thought about. You know what I mean? And I guess and it's fantastic to hear again how he's trying to help others.
I don't know if you know, but I'm an ordained minister. I actually went to Bible college after my DWI almost 9 years ago, and I became a minister. And I do a lot of the Christian counseling and faith-based work with the treatment centers I work with.
Wow, that's something new as well, Jarrett, right?
Absolutely. I'd heard Michael speak about that in the past, so certainly I was not surprised at all when Michael was able to share with us the biblical, the scripture component to recovery, redemption. Neil, we go back to the beginning of our show, and we talked about parenting, and there's a redemptive nature to parenting, and correcting your own mistakes as a parent, but also providing guidance. And Michael, you spoke so eloquently about the very advice that we give on our parenting shows, and that is about parents. Parents are there for their children and not the other way around.
Right.
And that's one of the things that we speak about so much. And we see that in the Bible, with the relationship between Jesus and the followers and God and Jesus. I mean, it's right there clearly stated in biblical terms.
Well, it's so important. I mean, the Bible even says about parents leading their children to God and being an example. Now, one thing that's really important is, like you just mentioned, truth and honesty. By parents being accountable and being responsible, holding themselves responsible for different things that they've done wrong, you teach your kids to do that. And kids don't have to. I mean, we should all read the Bible, but at the same time, you can be the Bible or an example of it that no one's ever read. Just by your actions, people will see what kind of a person you are.
Absolutely. I so believe that. And making those decisions, having those conversations, Michael, and that's where you show your passion. You're out there helping others, and you're paying it forward in so many aspects, especially you said you made all that money on the stock market and working in that field, and hey, it was good money, right? But you weren't happy. Now you're happy because you're truly doing your life's work. Now, you're also a representative for Aid in Recovery, this rehabilitation center. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Aid in Recovery is a referral business. What they do is you call into Aid in Recovery, and the number is 855-94-REHAB. And once you get us on the phone, we'll refer you to the great treatment programs that we have, which is Treasure Coast Recovery and the Lucas Institute. But if we can't find a place for you, if it's not right for you, we'll refer you out. On many occasions, people need, we do have a faith-based track, but some people need a real faith-based treatment center, because I believe that if you don't have God in your life, that nothing's going to go right, especially in addiction. And we deal with Teen Challenge a lot. And Teen Challenge isn't only for teens. I actually was staffed there years ago. They're the most successful treatment program in the world, and they don't even charge anything. It's all self-funded. And they have over 800 locations worldwide, and they're just an amazing program. But the ones we have at the Lucas Institute and Treasure Coast Recovery, what they do is they focus more on one-on-one treatment. They don't focus on the addiction, but the trauma and the core issues that lead to addiction and even relapse. So I give them a lot of credit, and I've settled here because I really believe in their program. It's more successful than others. The accommodations are beautiful, and some people say, like a cliffside, why was Lindsay a cliffside, and why was it so luxurious? Well, the answer is this. You're living in accommodations that you're very comfortable with. You want to stay in the program. But if you're in a room, like a motel room, like most of these programs have, and you're in there with 4 people sharing a room and a bathroom and a little kitchenette, you don't want to be there. It's not comforting. You want to be comfortable with your surroundings, so you want to stay there and participate in what you're getting.
Michael, amazing. Again, I guess don't judge a book by its cover. I truly, through not knowing much about you, learned so much in this short period of time. So our listeners out there, especially in our national syndication, that want to find out information on you as well and learn about what you're doing and your current projects and things like that, where can they find information on you?
Well, I guess Wikipedia, that's not all right either. But basically, I guess by going to our website, it's the Lucas Institute, which is LUKENS Institute.com, or Treasure Coast Recovery. And there's a whole bunch of things, thank you letters, testimonials of people I've dealt with. And you can always get me through there.
Well, Michael, thanks for calling. Best of luck. Love to have you back in a couple months to update us on anything new. And if you want to, again, share what's going on, if the tabloids are wrong again, you're welcome to come back on the program or talk about specifically other strategies to help people that have to go through hard times with recovery with drugs and alcohol.
Well,
so
there's something big coming up in the next month or so, and I'll definitely be in touch with you because it's going to be very effective for a lot of people, and I'll be happy to discuss it then.
All right, Michael. Thanks for calling, man. All right, take care.
Thank you, guys. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.
All right, God bless you too, Michael. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, you're listening to the Total Education Celebrity Show powered by the Simply G Media Network, and we'll be back in just a moment.